The Retro Buzz starts right after this.
Hey guys, it's Friday, and you know what time it is. It's time for the Retro Buzz, and we've got a stellar show for you today. But first, we have a big problem on our hands. Yes, Mr. Planamento is back with us, but he is trapped inside of an Amiga. How in the world did that happen?
Kathleen Kennedy and her henchmen.
I mean,
They told me that they went back in the day, and they're the ones who killed Commodore, and they shoved me in here. But I'm happy, though, because we have a guest on today that I'm very happy to be inside Amiga 4, so it works out.
that's right. Before we get to him, we also have Mr. Douglas Smith. I actually thought we'd all be wearing our II arcades. I was hopeful. I seen you had the black shirt, but then I noticed it said the Ultimate Warrior.
Got to rep WrestleMania.
The career-ending match, WrestleMania 7.
Always has to be different, that Doug. Always has to be different.
That's what I do. It's what I do.
We also have with us, we've got joining us all the way over the pond, we've got Mr. Dan Wood from theretrohour.com. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thank you very much for having me
for coming on the Retro Buzz Show.
Oh, jingle and all. Amazing.
You can't miss that, right? So how are you doing?
Yeah, very good, thank you. It's pretty late over here in the UK, 11 p.m. on a Friday evening, but, I know you guys are worth staying up for.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's awesome.
We appreciate
He
it.
hasn't seen our show. That's cool. I like that.
That's what I said to him. He says, yeah, I've watched a couple episodes. I said, I'm sorry to hear that.
How unfortunate.
So we're really interested because Dan has a wealth of knowledge, not only in the Amiga side of things, but Dan, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the Retro Hour? What do you guys, I mean, obviously you talk about retro, but what's the focus? What do you guys do?
Well, we started our podcast it'll be about 5 years ago, coming up soon. And we are a weekly retro gaming podcast. And we had this idea back in late 2015 of doing a podcast, and why don't we do it every week and have a guest on every single week? That'll be an easy thing to do. Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing. However, the show's actually been much bigger success than we ever dreamed it would be, actually. And we've had people on there like Nolan Bushnell, Al Nilsson, Tom Kalinske, some of our childhood heroes. So essentially the idea behind the show was that, there's a lot of retro gaming podcasts out there, but we wanted to do a show where we essentially get to explore the companies and the games and the people that were behind them that we grew up playing as kids, and kind of get the stories. Because, before the internet, the only way that we find out about video games was by reading stories in magazines. And often you didn't know whether it was true or not. So a lot of our interviews are actually asking people, these stories that we heard when we were kids, was this actually true? Did this really happen? And actually getting the story from, the horse's mouth, as it were, is, just something that we love doing every week. And yeah, like I said, I think we're on about episode number 240 or something now. So yeah, we're doing a long time every week.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we're only at episode number 35. We got a ways to go here to catch up.
Long road to hoe.
That's why we have Dan. Dan's the man, the legend.
So how did you get into this whole Amiga thing? Doug and I have sat through many episodes of this Amiga. Believe it or not, Glenn, you'll be proud. I actually went looking last week for an actual original Amiga because I'm like, I gotta be able to find one, like at a yard sale, at a garage sale, or even online. But then they were like $300-400, and I was like,
a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. Nope, not having it.
They're getting up there again. They're getting up. But Dan, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've kind of got a background with computers. My parents both worked in computers. My mum was a mainframe operator back in the late 70s. And my dad was an electronic engineer. So essentially, he'd build the machines and she'd program them. So I kind of grew up with, you could say computers in my DNA. But I remember, being a kid and Goldilocks and the Three Bears. My mum used to read me computer manuals on her knee, programming in like fruit machine simulators on the Commodore and things like that. And I got a Commodore Plus 4 when I was about 5 years old for Christmas. And I don't know if Glenn, you remember the Plus 4.
I do. I'm sorry to hear you got that gift, my friend.
Yeah,
I'm
it
sorry.
wasn't. The Commodore 64 is obviously an infamous machine. The Plus 4 was a machine they were hoping would kind of replace it, but it never did. It was an awful machine. I think my parents got it for about £25 here in Britain.
Yeah,
And
it
in the
was
late
a
80s.
butchered machine.
Yeah, but I loved it because it was my first computer. And actually, before that, I wanted a computer that badly. And I don't know whether I should admit this or not. I'd actually build computers, like fake ones, out of like shoe boxes and, put little bits of tape on to pretend I had a keyboard. I wanted a computer that badly. So when I opened it on Christmas morning, when I was like 5, 6 years old, it was like a dream come true. So that's kind of where I got started with computers. And then obviously, Glenn, you remember as well, the Amiga was like, it was like the Starship Enterprise of computers. It was like, every kid look at that. It was a dream machine. And I remember looking at it in magazines and seeing it on television. And I actually wanted a Commodore 64 because a lot of my friends had that. And my Plus 4, obviously, like I said, wasn't a great machine. And it was Christmas 1991. I remember nagging my parents, can I have a Commodore 64 for Christmas so I can, trade games with the other kids at school? And I remember my mother on Christmas Eve 1991 saying to me, unfortunately, Santa's not going to be bringing you a Commodore 64 this year. And I was like, oh, well, maybe they can't afford it. Christmas Day morning, I unwrapped an Amiga 500. So
Nice.
quite a nice surprise.
Very cool.
And the Amiga, the Atari ST, obviously the Spectrum, those were the machines in the UK and Europe. They were very, very big over there. They didn't really care about IBM compatibility at the time. It was more about cost, space, and performance, right? That's what you guys were looking for.
Yeah, because I mean, even when we do our podcast as well, it kind of seemed like obviously a lot of the history that people learn about these days from computers and gaming in general really comes from YouTube. And, a lot of the big YouTube channels, for example, AVGN and, channels like that, they kind of cover it really well from the American perspective. But over here in the UK, even stuff like the NES, obviously it was a big system, but every kid that I knew at school had home computers. They didn't have master systems. They didn't have NESs. They had Spectrums and Commodore 64s and Amstrad machines. That was kind of the main things that, people had. And after that, like you said, it was Amiga and Atari ST. It was really only around probably 92, 93. I remember kids at school getting like Mega Drives or Genesis, as you call it over there, and Super Nintendo. So really, we were a bit more grounded in home computers and consoles here. And, the main format that we bought games on in the 8-bit days was cassette tape.
And you didn't mind those load times. It was fine. You guys were fine with that. Now, actually, I'm assuming also is because, like you said, you were able to go to school and kind of share the games.
Yeah, well, when I found my mother's tape-to-tape recorder could share games with my friends, that was a glorious day.
Are you
Now, when you
promoting
got
piracy, Glenn? Are you promoting piracy?
No, he's promoting
I'm
sharing.
promoting backup and sharing.
Oh, okay.
Sharing is
Right.
caring.
Right.
If
Sharing
someone
is
owns a
caring.
game, it's not piracy, yeah?
Right. Now, the Atari had a pretty good foothold in the UK for a long time. They had the ST line. They obviously had, the Atari Jaguar. I'm a fan of that. I know you have one as well.
Yeah.
But they did start losing steam. What do you think caused Atari to kind of lose the steam to the Commodore Amiga at that point?
Well, I think, the Atari ST came out before the Amiga, and it was actually cheaper over here. I think it was probably the case in the US as well. And you could buy an Amiga 500 for about £399 here. But you could buy an Atari ST 520 for, I think, about $299 at the same time. So they were, about £100 cheaper, which obviously, to a lot of families was a big deal. But I think it was just the fact that the Amiga was, when people saw how superior the games were on the Amiga, and how, the audio in particular is always one thing that I look at the Amiga, compared to the ST, which is bizarre because a lot of people think of the ST as a musician's machine because they had that onboard MIDI. And, but really, I mean, apart from the MIDI ports, the actual inbuilt audio on the ST, I think it was actually the same sound chip that was on the Sinclair Spectrum. It was an 8-bit machine.
It was a Yamaha. It was like a Yamaha chip, I think, wasn't there?
I mean, essentially the ST was an off-the-shelf, machine. It was a CPU on a stick, essentially. Whereas the Amiga had all of those cool custom chips. that could, make the game sing and dance. So I think when people saw that, they realized that it was actually worth paying a bit more for, I think.
So was the Spectrum more than any other console like the most popular out there?
Well, I mean, like I said, it's hard from that pre-internet era. You kind of only knew what was happening in your local area or what you'd read in magazines. But really, it was the Spectrum and the Commodore 64 were the two machines I remember all of my friends having when I was a kid. I think at our school, the Commodore kind of edged out the Spectrum a little bit, but obviously it was a very popular home computer as well.
And how do you feel like I guess the gaming, obviously not in the States, but how do you feel that the retro gaming is progressing over in the UK?
Well, now it seems, I don't know if you guys found the same as well. I mean, obviously, I imagine doing this show, it kind of seems like there's been a bit of a resurgence in the interest in retro in, I'd say, probably the last 5 years. I've really noticed it. I mean, when I saw, the Commodore 64 Mini got released a couple of years ago, we've had the NES Mini and the Mega Drive Mini. When my mother called me and she was doing some Christmas shopping and she went into Game, that's like our big high street video game retailer over here, she actually called me up about 2 years ago. And she said, that thing that we had in the house as kids, the Commodore, they're selling that again. Did you know that? I'm like, well, yeah, I do a podcast about this kind of thing, Mother. But, the fact that my mother had actually realized it by walking into a store in town.
Thanks for listening, Mom.
Yeah, exactly what I did. And that's when I realized it had gone really mainstream.
You just that yesterday? Mom, for 5 years.
But then I'm like, yeah, this has gone really mainstream if, people are seeing it and just walking down the high street or the shopping malls and seeing this kind of stuff.
No, one of our commenters, Ashley Kingdom, she was saying before that about Spectrums. She said that they were crap, but they were really cheap in the UK. Everybody had them.
Well, I think it's kind of the same as the Atari ST. They were the affordable machine. And you better remember the 80s in the UK, it wasn't a time when a lot of families were flush with money. And, a lot of working class families, they had to get what they could afford. And these machines were built to be affordable. So when you think back, like, less than a decade before that, trying to get a computer at home, it was thousands of pounds. When this first generation of 8-bit home computers came along that were finally affordable for families to have in their living room, even if they didn't really know why they wanted one. The kids might want to play games on it, but I think so over here in the UK we had a thing called it was the Computer Literacy Project. So essentially the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, had a bit of a project to essentially educate kids in Britain on computers. So that's where we got the BBC microcomputer with Acorn,
which was a nice machine. I mean, it was a nice machine, that BBC Micro.
Beautiful, and that was actually the first computer that I used. Because at my school we had I think 4 of those we had at my school, and again being the kid that really wanted a computer, I said to my teacher, can I help set the machines up in the morning? So I became the computer monitor at school. I was the coolest kid in my school. Every morning I get in and we had a big iron safe that we keep it locked up overnight because it was that valuable.
But wait,
I'd have a big Allen key and I'd open it up and take them out and set them up.
They only had 4? Glenn probably has more than that in his storage facility there.
Yeah. We had 4 in the entire school.
The BBC, I wish. The BBC Micro, I would really like to get one. I mean, they're really a nice machine, but
wait. You don't have one?
No.
Oh, everybody.
Actually, I don't have a Spectrum either. I've been looking. I'm on the prowl. I don't have a Spectrum either.
Take a screenshot, folks.
I would like to get.
Take a screenshot. Remember this date. Glenn Planamento does not have either of those.
No, Glenn, you're the same as me. I haven't got a BBC Micro. I've got an Acorn Electron that was kind of the cut down version. Yeah, and I got that, I think, for free. My auntie gave me it about 20 years ago, probably. Nice little machine, but yeah, I'd love to have a BBC Micro because, again, it was a machine I used at school. I will wonder.
It's funny though, on these, even the Spectrum, the games were primitive looking. Like maybe they have 1 color or 2 or 3 colors, but they still did an amazing job programming those machines. And a lot of companies, too, like the Bit Brothers, a lot of people are still around today that started back from that Spectrum era of the very basic machines you guys had over there.
Yeah, we kind of had, it was, I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a couple of documentaries on YouTube that are worth a watch. One of them is actually about a company called Imagine Software. And they were one of Britain's kind of first big video games companies. And then the BBC went along to film them and kind of document this emerging new industry. And they had what they called these, the computer whiz kids, who were generally teenagers who would make video games in their bedrooms at home, and they become millionaires overnight. And there's all these stories about 15, 16-year-old kids buying like Ferraris, but they were too young to drive them, so they leave them on the drive for a year, or in the garage or something. So the BBC went along. It was a program called Commercial Breaks. If you want to check it out on YouTube, they went along to film what happened day to day in this new video games company that was, making millions and millions of pounds, and they went bankrupt during the process of this documentary. So it was a real snapshot into this industry that just kind of came out of nowhere, and everyone thought it was going to make them multi-millionaires. A lot of them just, wasted the money on, ridiculous things, sports cars, jets, and that kind of thing. And it was a time when, a lot of people learned a lesson, I think, in business who probably shouldn't have been in it in the first place.
Yep. I mean, those early games, like Chuck the Chuck Wagon game for the Atari 2600, or Dawn dishwashing soap, the game for the Atari 2600. You can't just throw anything at it and expect to make money. But
I know you guys over there had the North American video game crash, didn't you, in 1983?
Right.
Which is not something we had over here, but it was kind of on a smaller scale. I guess it kind of happened in regards to software companies thinking they could sell anything.
When that did happen here in the States, everything got super cheap. I mean, if you had the money, you could buy 5 or 6 game cartridges for like $3. Did that cost translate overseas to you guys over there? When it crashed here, did you get stuff cheaper there because of it?
Well, over here, I mean, budget games around that era were really the best sellers. Because I remember there was a company called Mastertronic. I don't know if you've heard of them before. They were bought by Virgin in the early 90s, and they were the games I'd always buy. And they had a range called the 199 range. So they sell video games for £1.99. So you could buy that with your allowance or your pocket money on a weekend. You ride your bike down to the local store with your friends. When you're 7, 8 years old, you pick up a 199 game on a weekend, and that would be the only video game you played for a week. But really, they were the big sellers back in the 8-bit era. Games really didn't cost more than about £10.
So when that did happen, you said before Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo started kicking off, obviously that was a big shift in cost, because those cartridges you weren't sharing or making backups or loaner copies of. So what got you guys to transition to that? Because obviously you guys were pretty well fine with the low cost games you were getting and the machines. So was it really the graphics? Was it really just that brought you guys to say, listen, I'm going to spend $60 in a game where I could have spent $1.99 before?
Well, I think, even like you said, on the Amiga, I was doing a talk at a show in Amsterdam, an Amiga event out there. I think it was the Amiga's 30th anniversary back in 2015. And I went on stage. I did a little talk about, my history with the Amiga and my experiences. I showed a video in the background, and there was a program on the Amiga called Xcopy, which I'm sure none of us have familiar. That was essentially the game. That was essentially the game copying tool. And that was the only program I showed on screen where everyone gave a round of applause in the audience. So obviously it was a very widespread tool. I remember kids at my school, they'd have X-copy parties. After school, we'd go to someone's house and we'd all copy games on the Amiga. But like you said, when consoles came along, you couldn't do that. So I think a big thing, I remember a lot of my friends that had consoles at the time was renting video games, Blockbuster and Ritz Video is another big one over here as well. So, apart from like birthdays and Christmas, really rentals was probably the main way that a lot of kids kind of got to play games there. I remember one kid at school who was he had an uncle who sent him like a cartridge to a floppy disk backup solution for the Mega Drive. It might be the Mega Drive, the Super Nintendo. But that was the only time I ever saw anything like that.
And that wasn't cheap either. Those were quite expensive. Yeah,
and essentially would dump the cartridge onto a floppy disk. So but he was the only kid with those. But I think rentals were the main thing that I remember people doing. It's like you said, going from essentially getting your video games for free or the price of the floppy disk to paying like £60. They were essentially pound to dollar, really. We pay £60 for a video game over here on cartridges.
Well, nowadays, have you been collecting? You mentioned before the minis, like the Sega Genesis Mini, the NES Mini. Have you been collecting those?
You know what? I look at them whenever I go into the store and I see them. They look cool, but I've got the originals and I've got EverDrives for all my systems. So I haven't got those. But Joe, that I do my podcast with, he collects all of them. He's like our resident Sega fan, and he's got them all in boxes on the shelf. And I don't think he even plays them. He just gets them to display and look nice on the shelf. But I do think it's cool that they're out there again, because I think, we've talked about this on the podcast before, and we've had kind of, debates about whether they're kind of aimed at us or not. And I don't think they are. I think those systems are really aimed at, someone who probably had a Genesis or a Super Nintendo 25, 30 years ago, and they might walk into like Walmart or Asda over here, see one on the shelf and think, I wouldn't mind reliving that experience again. I don't think they're aimed at people like us who probably got the original system with flash carts and HDMI mods and that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Me, I got the original. I don't need to buy 5 or 6 of the other ones.
Yeah. I understand.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
No, it's definitely that impulse buy for those people that are looking to get that quick fix of nostalgia, just that quick adrenaline rush back into their veins of, Sonic the Hedgehog or, Super Mario World, things like that, as opposed to going out and truly investing both the time and the money of buying the original cartridges, the original consoles, and making sure everything's working and that kind of thing.
One thing that I find with those systems, though, that really puzzles me, it's why didn't they put a cheap Wi-Fi chip on there and maybe an SD card slot and then have like a store connected to them so you could buy a load of other old games?
Yeah, you would have think Nintendo of all people would have done it because they're the champions of selling us the same game for 25 years, and we fall for it every time. I bought Legend of Zelda probably 16 times at this point on every single console I can think of, and I'll do it again.
But did you get the 3D version?
Of course.
Of course. We all had to get the 3D version.
Then I'll get the remastered 3D version. It's just like Star Wars. If they polish it, put a new label on it, I'll be a sucker. I'll buy it every time.
So
it's just such a shame they stopped Star Wars in '82. It's such a shame that '82 was the last year for Star Wars. I would like to have seen some new movies.
So I wanted to do something on this show, and I didn't want to tell anybody about it because I know Glenn. He likes to cheat. So later on, we're going to see what these guys, they come on here. Glenn acts like he knows everything. We're going to see if Glenn knows everything later. That's a warning.
Uh-oh.
That's a warning. We're going to see. We're going to test his mettle against Dan Wood.
This should be good. I like this.
Yes.
I like
this is going to be Glenn versus Dan in a retro trivia.
That freaking.
No. You're not getting out of this one.
I don't know.
Because I knew it was going to happen. Dan's not going to let you win either. So you better get your questions in now.
We do a video games quiz in our podcast every year. I host it because my knowledge is so bad.
Hey,
I tell you,
it's educational. You
I
learn
would be
something every time.
honored.
That's right.
I'll be honored to lose to Dan.
So this will be fun. We'll be able to do this a little bit after. We wanted to change things up a little bit, try something. We're gonna cut to this clip real quick. What we're gonna do is called a retro pickup. So basically, what this is gonna entail every week, myself, Doug, or Glenn is gonna come up with a 1 minute to 1.5 minute video of a retro pickup that they did this week. And we'll throw it together and put it together and show you guys. This was something that I picked up this week, which I thought was kind of a steal, and we'll show you what it is. This is a new episodic weekly segment called Retro Pickup, where we can showcase some of the best, or what we deem the best retro pickup for ourselves this week. I managed to pick this up, complete in box, for $15 this week. To me, that's a steal for one of the classics, The Adventures of Bayou Billy. Billy West, otherwise known as Bayou Billy, is a Crocodile Dundee-like survivalist, vigilante, and former U.S. soldier from New Orleans who has fought against a local crime boss known as Godfather Gordon. In retaliation for interfering with his smuggling operations, Gordon kidnaps Billy's girlfriend Annabelle Lane in order to lure Billy into the final battle. Billy's quest to save Annabelle consists of 9 stages and takes him from the swamplands to Bourbon Street as he battles Gordon's henchmen and eventually arrives at Gordon's estate to come face to face with the big boss himself. So we've seen Glenn's alter ego there in that pickup. But I seriously, guys, I thought $15 is a steal for that in the box. Like, I mean, I've gone to toy shows and they want like $25 to $30 for that.
Yeah, and Bayou Billy is kind of a neat game because it's got a little bit of everything in it. You got some, side-scrolling beat 'em up action. You got some racing, like car levels. You got some interesting graphics where like knives are flying at the screen. Obviously, it was
the off-road.
Yeah, a little bit of off-road. A little bit of a
really all that was in that game. I just saw the girl in the bikini. That's all I saw in that whole.
It's not a bikini. It's a crop top. Get
It's
it
a
right.
crop top. Yeah, get it right.
Daisy Duke, the Daisy Duke look.
But obviously, it's I don't know if it's fair to call it a ripoff of Crocodile Dundee, but you just look at that box art and you're like, wow, this is strikingly similar.
Do you
Well-
remember the TV commercial for that? Did you ever see the TV commercial for that?
I think I seen
don't-
it when I was younger. Yes.
Basically, it's a guy. He's sitting. He's like laying down, and you just see this. You don't see. You kind of see on the side. On the side, you just kind of see that. You're like, what the hell is this guy doing? And then he's like churning butter or something like that. But he's just sitting there going like, "Yeah, I'm having a great time over here. I'm having a blast." And he's churning butter.
This was an American commercial?
This was an American. Look it up. Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yep.
I don't remember that then. I
Yep.
remember there was one where they showed an actual real person going through, like Crocodile Dundee going through it. And then they cut to that, and then they come back. So, but this is something we want to do.
Where was
Listen,
Tipper Gore on that commercial, huh?
here's what I was thinking too. I want to open up to you guys, the audience, the community. Send in a 1-minute video. Dan, this includes you too. Send in a 1-minute video of your greatest retro pickup. I don't care if it's a Amiga game. I don't care what it is that you found. Like you got the steal of a
It could be an
deal.
Amiga game. What are you talking about? Come on.
I'm just saying, whatever you guys find that you found that's a steal, send it in. We'll showcase it on the show. Your big pickup, and tell a little bit about it so people get some, history. Kind of like what I did on that, just about, if it's a game, explain the game a little bit. I think it'll be interesting because Dan, you said earlier that you don't really have, some of these shops that we have over here where you can go like, the Salvation Army and Goodwill type stores. And those are like gold mines for some of this stuff.
Yeah, we have a charity shop.
LGR.
Over here. Yeah, LGR. I was talking about LGR before, going thrift shopping, and I watched that and I get so jealous. We have charity shops
I wonder
over
if
here.
he stages that, Dan. Do you think he stages that? He goes in, listen, here's some stuff. I'm going to say I got it for you. It's promotion for you guys. Here's like a brand untouched, like Legend of Zelda edition thing. Boom. And look, for 50 cents, I can get this. And I got a video.
I'll leave it for the next guy.
Yeah.
No,
Could
it's
be.
true. I mean, I watched that, and you find some great stuff. But over here, we have charity shops, they're called, and essentially the money you give, goes to charity. So it's a really good cause. But they often have a rule where they can't sell electronics because they're not tested and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if they get donated, they generally just trash them. They don't keep them or sell them. And I think I once saw a Sega Dreamcast keyboard in one of them. That was one of the best things I ever saw.
But you know what though?
It's
Even a game, Dan, even if you got a box of a game and they were going to trash it, even if the game didn't work, the box is going for like 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks,
It's gold
But I
on
think-
eBay.
I don't know if you guys have found the same, that they're kind of learning the value now of what these things are worth in like thrift stores and charity shops. And really all I ever see is copies of like FIFA Soccer for from 2001 on the PlayStation 2. That's about all I ever find.
Oh, man.
I definitely run into a lot of places and people that are overpricing things just because they see it's old. Like an NES copy of Super Mario Brothers. They're like $36, and it's got somebody's name sharpied across it. Doesn't have a box, and I'm like, that is literally the most common NES game you could possibly put on the market, and you're asking $36, and it has Joseph's name scribbled across the front. Like, a lot of places don't understand the true value and the going rate for a lot of these things. Sometimes you get lucky and you'll find gold up in them there hills. You'll find a nice Bayou Billy for $15, but a lot of my area is the complete opposite. It's just overpriced nonsense because people
Magic
are trying
Eraser.
to ride that retro wave.
Magic
it does
Eraser
wonders for
gets rid of
Sharpie.
gets rid of Joseph's name across it. I know because I've gotten a few of them like that. It works really
Right.
well.
And I'll say not everything old is always expensive. I mean, ladies, I'm very cheap. So, I'm here. I'm vintage. I'm a classic, and I'm available. There we go.
All right.
Still got some miles left on them tires.
Let's see. Are you guys ready? Let's see if we can. We're gonna throw some trivia questions at you and Dan. Let's
this.
see. And Doug, if before I give the answer, if you think you know it and these two don't know it, let's see if you can you can school the retro guys here.
I remind you, it's like half past 11 at night.
Hey, listen, you got a chat room. You can phone a friend, right?
Yeah, guys.
Oh, he could cheat. Oh, that's nice.
All right.
I see some people I know in the chat room.
Glenn, how familiar are you with Resident Evil?
Ooh.
Oh, Good game. I love Resident Evil. It's a
All
good
right.
game.
In Resident Evil, what is the password for the Red Queen's chamber?
Oh wow.
Oh, the Red Queen's Chamber. It's easy. Glenn.
She just lets you right in.
Come on,
Let's be
man.
right in.
Somebody in the chat room.
I honestly.
Dan, do you
Just waiting
know?
for somebody
I've
to
got
tell
me.
you to type it for me.
Let's
I don't know.
let's see if the chat room knows. Let's see who can come up with this.
There are some smart people in the chat room. I see them.
Let's see how quickly they can Google it.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great, I should have thought of that. Dan, that was it.
Kathleen Kennedy. No, that wasn't it.
That's gold over there. Dan was gold.
Let's see if somebody comes up with it. Nobody has it.
Wait.
We'll give it a
for
few seconds. Let's see if
Someone
somebody can
Google
come
it
up
at
with-
least.
Which
Password?
It says
No.
Password.
No, it's not
Which
password.
Resident Evil was she even in? She wasn't in the first Resident Evil.
Oh, this guy, Battle Cry is close. It is 12177. He was close.
Huh? That's
Wow,
I'll
that's
I'll
good.
give him that. All right, Dan.
Nice easy one to start with.
Dan, we're gonna.
Dan.
How
It was Donkey Kong. That's what you're gonna get.
How-
Something really difficult.
All right. How familiar are you, either of you guys, with the game Cuphead?
I just know it's super hard.
I can last about 10 seconds in it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dan,
I
this
just know you
question.
wear it on feet.
This question is for you. What color is Mugman associated with in Cuphead?
What color?
What color
I think I actually know this one.
is Mugman associated with in Cuphead? You can
Can I-
phone.
Can I
You
guess?
can phone a Doug
Can I
if you
buzz?
need to.
I was about to say, can I buzz in and guess?
You
I
can.
Yeah,
think
go
I
on,
know.
buzz in.
It's blue, isn't it?
It is blue. So
Yeah,
Doug
I
goes
just- I
on
just
the
know that because-
board.
Nice.
Yeah, because Cuphead is red, and they got the the
I was
prototypical
going to say
red.
red.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Why's the
find
apple
one.
Cuphead was white? Oops.
So I got to stay away from Cuphead because Doug's going to know too many of them. Glenn, how familiar are you with Assassin's
game.
Creed? Can we do Assassin's Creed,
Not
or is that
very.
too new for you?
No, very at all.
Isn't that a rock band?
Oh boy,
Sure, it is.
we'll try. We'll try this one here.
A new rock band.
Glenn, this is for you. The video game Assassin's Creed Unity is a successor to what 2013 Assassin's Creed title? Doug probably knows this one.
Assassin's Creed. Something.
Assassin's Creed 2013.
It's not very retro. Assassin's Creed is kind of a new game.
Doug, do you
How about
know?
do something about like old
This is
TV,
re-
you know,
this
I
is
don't remember
retro.
the
It's
order of it.
2013.
I just remember they had like a pirate version, and they had like a the standard Assassin's Creed that went for like 3 before they started changing it up, and they had like a Vikings. They
This
just kept
is-
jumping genres around.
Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. So nobody got that one.
Yeah,
I didn't even see the
there we
chat
go.
room get
I
that.
knew there
All
was
right.
a pirate one.
All right. Final Fantasy. Anybody know Final Fantasy? Can we
I
do
like
one
me
of
some
this?
Final Fantasy.
All right.
There's
What-
I
like
got a
20 of
couple,
them,
but
though.
You're
No.
gonna have to help these two because you're ahead of them. So, what
Well,
is
I think you're going too modern.
too modern?
Yeah, that's not really retro.
Yeah.
How
I'm not sure what the retro cutoff for these two
Okay.
is.
This one. All right, here you go, Glenn. If you don't get this one, you're fired.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Pressure.
Diddy Kong is the main character in what video game?
Diddy Kong?
Oh, Glenn, come on.
I can tell you, he's a bastard child of
Oh
Donkey
my-
Kong, a grandchild of Donkey Kong. I can
my
tell you that.
goodness. Doug, you
No.
want to help him out?
Cranky Kong, I can tell you that Cranky Kong was the original Donkey Kong in the game. So the Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong Country is not Donkey Kong, it's his
There
kid.
you
Okay,
go.
you're close.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, I can tell you that.
Donkey Kong
Ah,
Country, yeah?
Donkey
There you
Kong
go.
Country.
Yeah.
You could have even cheated and said Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, he
I
could
did think about Diddy Kong Racing, but you know what? This is still not retro. You're talking about fairly
This is
modern games
retro.
here.
It's more than 10
Hey,
years
You've got
old.
more than 16 colors. If it's more than 16 colors, it is not retro, okay?
All right.
That's Donkey Kong, man.
Oh,
Donkey
you're
Kong
not going to
Country,
know that. It's
stupid. Yeah.
2015. Let me see.
But again, that's not Donkey Kong. That's Donkey Kong's kid, and then the bastard
not.
grandkid.
Donkey
Hey.
Kong Country is my wife's favorite video game. So
There you go.
Yeah, see?
Smart woman.
All right. I'll let
Battlecry on YouTube says,
Here's-
in Pong, how many pixels was the ball?
he don't know that either.
4 pixels.
4 pixels.
4 pixels.
All right, Glenn. This one's for you. And if you really don't get this one, Doug is gonna have a field day with you. Sonic is what type of animal?
A plumber.
I'll go with hedgehog on that one.
Oh, there we go.
Redeemed himself.
That's right. That's
Redeemed
right. I'll
himself.
let Dan redeem himself here too. All right. What is Mario's brother name?
Luigi.
Hey, so now we've got a 3-way tie going on here. All right.
Hey, Mario, why can't I have a girlfriend, Mario? You got all the girls. Give me something. I got a toad.
So-
That the toad is no good.
So Glenn wanted retro. So any of these 3 guys can get this. So we're going to go back to 1981. Is that far enough back for you, Glenn?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. 1981. Who also appeared in the 1981 Donkey Kong video game?
Mario.
Jumpman.
Was it?
Jumpman,
I'll give you 4 choices that you can choose from. Princess Peach, Mario,
Nope.
Bowser, or Toad.
Mario.
Mario, none of them. Mario's not in it. It was Jumpman.
Yeah,
It was not
Jumpman.
Mario until after Donkey Kong.
Yeah, he didn't get Mario until what, 85?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Actually, he was originally called Man, and then it was Jumpman, and then he was a carpenter, and then he became a plumber. My voice is getting deeper because it's getting frustrating.
It
There was
is.
no Mario. There's no, and yeah, let's hear it. What is it?
It was. Are you ready? It was Princess Peach.
What's the
Shenanigans.
Princess Peach?
She wasn't
It's
known as
Pauline.
that. It was
Girl.
called Pauline.
Yeah.
Correct. It was
So
Pauline.
it
That
was
is
a-
correct.
Two different
Pauline.
women.
It was a trick
different
question. So the answer is what? None of them.
Oh,
Oh, come
that was
on!
cruel. That was cruel.
Even the chat room was helping you out. Come on, come on.
I don't want to
man.
say anything. I've seen Pauline and Princess Peach. I think actually Pauline was the better looking of the two between you and me. Her pixels were showing in all the right places.
Whoa.
Whoa. Okay. we gotta. I'm trying to find one that we could do that we could beat the 3-way tie. Anybody got a good one in the chat room? Because there's a 3-way tie here that we got to get these guys to beat. 'Cause this was worse than me in my Apple trivia the other night. That was just awful. You know. All right. Can I give you an Atari 2600 question? Would you know the answer to that, Glenn?
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Although Dan had Nolan Bushnell on, so he may have it more than me.
All right.
Yeah, let me just bring Nolan.
So whoever can say this first, the Atari 2600, the original Atari VCS, was released in the United States in what year?
1977. 77, baby.
Do you know what the month and the date was for it?
Oh,
Come on. Bonus points to take it home. I'll give you a hint. It's also another date that we'll never forget in history.
9/11.
Bingo.
man.
Really?
That's where it was. September 11th, 1977.
I thought you were going to say what number the girls call when I ask them on a date.
867-5309.
309. Yeah, of course. That's for Jenny.
No, they I thought they dialed 911. There's some strange dude at my door. You can't get them out of here.
Well, I figured this would be good to put your metal to the test, you know?
It is, but I think we need to define what retro is.
Yeah, so let's
'Cause I
define
don't
that
think
because
Assassin's Creed is not no retro.
so Doug and I's retro is stuff from
Kinda
what?
different.
The 80s and 90s, right, Doug? That would be considered. For you guys, it's the 70s because you're a dinosaur.
well, Dan's not that old. Don't put Dan in
No,
my
I'm not.
category.
No, I
I'm
said
the old
you.
fucker.
I said you. You, the 3 of us here. You're the dinosaur.
I am. I remember
So
1972, that original Magnavox Odyssey, man. You had literally 2 lines, and a ball that did nothing. I mean, the ball just kind of sat there, no score. You kind of just hit it, and then you had to go and press a program to get the ball back because the computer didn't even know how to get the ball back. You had to put an overlay on your screen because there was like there was nothing. Those were the days of imagination.
But there was a method to my madness with that. What you said about you felt like something from 2013 was not considered retro in your opinion. Believe it or not.
Just like Kathleen Kennedy's not Star Wars. That's my opinion.
Did you see it, Doug, that they said that now that the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are now being discontinued, right? They have now been given the retro title.
No.
Yeah, that's a little bit lenient. Was it like Cars? I think Cars, for them to officially be a classic car, has to be at least 20 years old.
Yep.
Geez, man, like let the console simmer a little bit. Let it be out there a little bit longer before you call it a retro.
I agree.
I think 20 years is a good benchmark.
20 years?
Yeah, I agree.
Is that what we're saying? So if anything from the year 2000 is considered retro, what would you say? Oh, right. 2000 and below?
Yeah, so like, 1960 to 2000. That's your window.
So that's your window.
Basically, when a dollar game is worth 300, or better yet, 192,000, whatever someone paid for that Mario Brothers, that's gonna be retro.
Ridiculous.
I don't see anyone paying that kind of money for an Xbox or PlayStation.
What would you say then it is from the year 2000 to the year 2020? What would you classify those consoles?
Gen X.
Current gen or last gen?
Yeah, I mean they're coming. Like PlayStation 3 is coming around that territory where it'll be retro pretty soon. I mean, we're almost on the precipice of PS5 now.
It kind of feels like Dreamcast has kind of moved into the retro sphere because
Dreamcast
it was on sale for very long. But PlayStation 2, for example, they were still releasing games for the PS2 in like 2014, 2015.
Yep.
Yeah, so that kind of feels like, because it had a longer lifespan.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't expect to see, people talking about digital only versions of Minecraft being sold at a GameStop or something 20 years from now for $600. So
my son
retro is going to look completely it's going to look different, with these modern digital only consoles and releases, the way everything's pushing. I mean, it's only going to drive the value of everything that we're trying to collect and hoard right now up and up and up, honestly.
Yep.
It's when you go to a museum and it's when you go to a museum and you see essentially your childhood bedroom in the museum. That's when,
the first time I heard Green Day on a classic rock radio station, I immediately died inside.
But you know what a funny thing is? Anyone you talk to, and I think Dan just kind of agreed, I think he did anyway, that one console that always gets so much love, really no negative, it's Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Sega, you listening?
Yep.
You gotta get a Dreamcast out. That thing is phenomenal. Even today, it still looks good. It plays good. What do you think, Dan?
It kind of feels like we didn't appreciate it at the time when we should have. Yeah. And I remember
like the girlfriend you had.
yeah, the one that got away. That's what the Dreamcast was. It was the machine. Cause I think everyone at the time was just looking to the PS2. That's going to come along soon. It's going to have a DVD drive, and it's going to be great. So they kind of left the Dreamcast on the shelf, and I think we kind of missed out on a system that had a lot more potential than we realized at the time. But I think it's a brilliant system.
It is. I mean, I pulled it out again because I got my CD-ROM unit, and I have my other one with the GD ROM in there. And I swear, I mean, the games are fun. The graphics still look great. A PlayStation 1 game looks, very, very dated. Even a PS2 game can look a little dated. But the Dreamcast is just.
What other systems do you get add-ons like this for?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, right.
That's for the Dreamcast.
Yeah, and you can play with your C-Man on that one too.
I've been looking.
Who doesn't want to play with their C-Man?
I've been looking.
Game Boy did have a sewing machine, right?
Yeah,
it did.
So you were talking about weird peripherals.
Hey, I was going to use this as one of my pickups. I got DJ Hero, which my son likes it. I haven't played it yet. I got it for Wii, in box, complete, for $10.
Sounds about right.
But
and Wii games are going up now as well, though. Slowly, I've noticed the price of those seems to be increasing.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
It's still okay. It's still an okay time right now, but it is starting to creep its way up. So if you're interested in that one, like the Xbox, whatever it is,
360,
X, whatever, whatever they are, who knows? Oh my hand's able to get out of the TV set. Kathleen Kennedy losing some of her pull of you. I'm able to get out of the screen. This one. Yeah,
If I was to
I'm
pick
trying
a system
almost.
that, if I was to pick a system that you should collect for now, I'd probably say the Wii U. I've got a feeling that's going to be quite a valuable system to collect for in probably 10, 15 years.
Right.
It's hard with these disc games though, because like even with you guys with the computers, you had the cartridges and you had the floppies and the actual physical discs. We have CDs and CDs get disc rot. So unless there's a way that you can find that can back up everything, and I again, I'm not condoning piracy, but you know, I've been finding ways that I can keep my originals on the shelf, play the backups, because that's what I want. I don't want, you know,
Prolong their life.
that's all I want to do. I want to get a complete inbox that I can keep it on the shelf. Same with like software, anything like that, you know, otherwise we're not going to have it. I think we had a discussion a few episodes ago about the future. And Dan, what's your opinion on that? I mean, you do a retro show. What does the future look like from your standpoint as far as physical copies of anything? I mean, like Doug said, retro in the future is going to look a lot different than it does now.
Well, actually, funnily enough, I did a documentary for the BBC about this very thing at the start of the year, kind of about the efforts that have been made to preserve video game history. And there are obviously websites like archive.org, guys like Jason Scott that are making a big effort to preserve this kind of thing. But I think you're right. The original copies, the floppy disks and the CD-ROMs and the DVDs, they are eventually all going to die, and there's no way around that. Eventually there's going to be no more copies. So I think it is really what I think is important is when people do kind of bit copies of the original media. So essentially you can recreate them exactly down to the bit level. So there are stuff like it's a Kyroflux, I think is one of them, that you can copy floppy disks sector by sector.
We had Jim Drew on recently, who has his Supercard Pro. Same thing. It's a magnetic flux read.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and also I think piracy as well. I mean, we've talked about it a bit on this show, but I know, for example, there have been companies that have released kind of their classic collections, and you'll find the pirated versions in there because they haven't got the source code anymore. So the only version that exists online,
Right.
and they can actually reverse engineer as a pirated version. So actually, piracy in the long run has had a positive effect in terms of software archive.
But I think if people or companies like Nintendo would actually say, hey, look, people obviously want this stuff. Why not just remake it and actually have people purchase it? Or if you do an online category. I know the Switch started doing that with the NES games and stuff. And we could do it with the 3DSs. But why aren't these companies catching on that people, they can, like, Doug, I hate to go back to this, but like you said, how many versions of Legend of Zelda did you buy? I mean, you'll get Glen to go out and spend hundreds of dollars for another TurboGrafx 16 that's remade completely like the original. I'm not talking the mini,
Totally
like the original,
Yep.
with the carts that they had, with the actual games. All they're doing is repurposing it and remaking it. Glen's gonna go out and buy 5 of the $300 consoles. It's just gonna do it.
Yeah.
I mean, makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, I think that the companies are starting to do it now. I mean, they are. We're getting these little mini machines. We have like New Wave Toys. We have Arcade One Up. These companies making these machines now, but it's taken a while. I mean, even Dan said right now we're kind of in that resurgence. Right now, it's kind of mainstream now, and it's cool to be in the retro. How long it's gonna last, I don't know. And I said it before. I'll say it again. I'm happy. All these companies, like II Arcade, wonderful shirt I got from them, and I want to thank them for this. But after a while, I'm worried about oversaturation. We're going to have so many choices. We may have a bigger crash than North America. It may be a worldwide crash because with the internet, it's reaching everywhere. But Dan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think, companies like Sega and Nintendo do seem to be taking their back catalog and the games that, fans held dear more seriously in recent years, and obviously realizing that there's a quick buck to be made there by selling us all, another copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for like the 200th time that we've probably bought it now. But I also think there's kind of some games that it's not possible to kind of get legally now. Say, for example, you want to play some Dreamcast games that haven't been on sale for 20 years. Or I remember the rumor, I think it was last April Fool's Day, when there was something circulating on Twitter that there's going to be a Philips CDI Mini coming out. And obviously, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
The CDI does have fans. There are some fans out there who like it. And actually finding a way to play these games, I think kind of the sweet spot for me is having the original hardware. And I've got kind of flash carts for all of my old systems. So, even the Atari Jaguar, I got the recent flash card that was made for that. So that's kind of the sweet spot.
That
for me,
waiting list.
having-
I've been on that waiting list from day one. I still don't have mine. I know he's busy, but man, congratulations to you on getting it. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's really good. But again, the problem is getting a legal way to get hold of these games. And I think the problem with that is that a lot of these old games have gone through so many different companies and so many different buyouts over the last 20 or 30 years. And actually tracking down not only the company that actually owns the copyrights and if they've even got a copy of the source code anymore in their archives, but also caring enough about it to go to the effort of finding it, which is why I think we have, I know Nintendo kind of clamped down on abandonware websites, as we call them, but a lot of companies just don't care if it's out there.
So, what do you feel about, say, the Mister?
I think the Mister's a great machine. Again, it's kind of that step closer to real hardware. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys are the same, but actually playing, there are some great software emulators, but having that running on my PC and having like an Xbox One controller plugged in and then my antivirus software pops up in the corner to do an update and a Facebook message comes over the gate, it completely takes me out of the experience. But having something like the Mister that's kind of closer to the hardware level, that works for me as well.
All right, Glenn. I have to stop the Amiga talk here for a second. And we have to get down the brass tacks with Dan before we wrap up the show. Ongoing trend we've been asking everybody that comes on here. Star Wars. 4, 5, and 6, the only episodes that ever existed? Or do you like the new episodes as well?
Choose
All right,
wisely, my friend.
I'm going to really damage my geek credentials here. I've never actually watched a Star Wars movie all the way through.
Oh,
No, that's really bad.
Oh, pull his card, Glenn. Pull his card.
I tried.
Wait, I was so
Christmas Day,
shocked.
remember,
Wait,
as a kid,
I was so caught off guard for that one. I really had no idea that was going to happen. Hold on a second. It's not too late. It's not too late. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, I got to find it now. Oh. I'm probably never going to find it now. This is horrible. This is a disaster. Oh, there it is. You ready? Okay, I'm doing it now. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, I love this.
Really? None of them? Really?
I know, guys. I know that's severe geek points taken off me, but yeah, I tried to watch them. I've always ended up falling asleep, and that probably makes it even worse.
Wow, yeah. I've only met one person in my life that said they've never finished a Star Wars movie, and she said, "Yeah, I couldn't get into them. They were kind of boring." I'm like, "There's freaking like, how do you fall asleep in that type of movie?"
It's like I've got friends that love Star Trek as well, which I know is something completely different. I don't know anger people. My mum loves Star Trek. She's like a real hardcore Trekkie. But I think being a kid growing up and wanting to watch like the Ghostbusters cartoons and He-Man, and my mum putting Star Trek on, that probably kind of turned me off the space kind of sci-fi stuff a bit, I think.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this then, Dan. Since your mom likes Star Trek, does she like the classic Star Trek or this new, Kelvin timeline garbage?
Wait.
No, she's old school. Yeah.
Wait a second. RJ Michael is instituting. He's coming in, and he's doing an intervention here. He says everyone is invited to come on by as soon as we can to have a watch party for Dan.
Yep, sounds like it.
There we go. Awesome.
I'll try and stay awake.
It needs to be an intervention. They'll just what Clockwork Orange, where they strap the dude to the chair.
Eyes open with toothpicks there like that. Yeah.
That was the best. I think that's the best response we've gotten from somebody.
Oh,
Everybody else is like agreed with Glenn, and I was waiting for the response. I was waiting for the look on Glenn's face, and he was just like,
shock and awe. What?
That wasn't
even a possibility in his mind.
That was
it's like
amazing.
You're like riding your bike when you were a kid, and then you slipped off the pedals and hit that middle bar, and you're like, you take a second. It takes a second to register before you're like, what?
That was pretty good.
You know what? I have huge respect for that versus if you liked.
You do know your voice.
And it's still solid.
You do know your voice Morpher's still on.
What are you talking about? That's my voice.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if you were doing it intentional or if you. I know you forget to press the button sometimes.
But on the flip side of that, I've got it all to look forward to. I mean, I might enjoy it and start watching them. Then they're all new to me. Yeah, I've got it all to look forward to.
He's gonna come back and he's gonna be like, he's gonna come back and say,
spoiler alert. There are only 6 plus Rogue One. That is all that exists.
He's gonna
There
come
is-
back and he's gonna be like, "Hey, I like that
There
Kylo
are
Ren
no other
character,
Star Wars films.
and I like that Ren,
There
and I
are
like that
no other Star Wars
BB-8."
films.
That's what he's gonna come back and
There
say, and
are no
Glenn's
other Star
not
Wars
gonna.
films.
That
There
Jar Jar
are
guy's
no other
pretty
Star Wars
cool.
films.
Yeah,
I do it just to troll Glenn.
JoJo
There you
bitch. He'll come back, Jar Jar.
I want to say something real quick too. Not everyone out there may know, but Dan and David Presence are friends. I think they work together even now. I just wanted to again congratulate him on his Kickstarter. His book did very, very well. Is it still going on, or did it finally finish up? I don't remember if it finished up or not.
It finished last week, yeah, and I think it nearly doubled what he wanted for it. So yeah, it did really well. And again, I mean, with it being difficult times for everybody at the moment, it was kind of is it the right time to launch a Kickstarter? Is it gonna actually work right now? People got the income to do it, but everyone was really supportive of it, and yeah, even more than met his target.
Well, like you, David is a great guy, very genuine, very honest, and he's got a huge amount of respect, as you do as well. So supporting him was not really I wasn't even worried about that at all, but I'm very happy it worked out very well for him.
Yeah, it'll be a good read as well. I mean, I think that for those that didn't see that stream, essentially he did a book 2 years ago now about his time working at Commodore, and the next book is going to essentially be what happened to the Amiga after the Commodore years, which is a really interesting story. And I've said this to him, numerous times over the years, that the fact we've had so many movies about Apple, how many Steve Jobs movies have been made in the last 4 or 5 years, and how many movies about. Yeah, I agree. And I also like Pirates of Silicon Valley. I thought that was a good film back in '99.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the one. That's the only good one.
I thought you meant the Ashton Kutcher one. People tend to like that. But I think there's a story. I think there should be a movie about Commodore and the Amiga. I think that's probably a more interesting story filled with drama than the Apple and Microsoft story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that would actually rope in Apple and rope in Atari and rope in IBM. Commodore.
and they still can't make them right. They have not made one correct movie when it came out with Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. None of them. There's always some kind of
did you
discrepancy.
See the Pirates of Silicon Valley?
Yes.
Did you see the Pirates of Silicon Valley?
Yes.
That one was probably the best one. There's also there was a documentary done. Revenge was it not Revenge of the Nerds? Triumph. Triumph of the Nerds. Yeah. That was awesome.
But
again, these are all 90s, and they all stop in about 98, 99. So yeah, there's
nothing else
another
matters.
20 years.
That's fine. Nothing else matters.
True.
So we're gonna have to wrap this up. But Dan, you've got another podcast. This is gonna be a late night for you. You're gonna be going on a show tonight. So why don't you tell everybody what they need to look forward to, what's coming up on the show that you're going on?
We're actually, we're going to be doing an interview with Joe from GameSack. Obviously a very big YouTube channel. So I'm speaking to him in about 2 hours from now. So that'll be 2 a.m. here because Joe lives in Mountain Time. I'd not even heard of Mountain Time before. I was arranging the interview with him this week. So he's going to be on our podcast next week, the Retro Hour, which is the podcast I was talking about earlier on. We release every Friday. So if you want to hear kind of the inside story on GameSack, which I don't know if you guys watch GameSack, one of my favorite.
I've been stalking him for a while. I'm sure he's got a restricting thing on me. So when you tell him Glenn said hello. Tell him, I'm not stalking him much.
End of the interview,
yeah.
Glenn said hello from the court-mandated distance.
Yeah, after you sent him a cease and desist.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm doing that in about 2 hours from now. Then, that'll be out on our podcast next Friday.
And they could check you out if they go to theretrohour.com. We really appreciate you coming on today. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And being a good sport with the trivia, even though I kind of threw it at you.
Really enjoyed it. I'll do some revision next time. We have.
Yes. You study up because you got to beat Glenn. That's the object. Is you got to be able to beat Glenn.
I'm gonna beat one.
That's right. That's right.
Well, you have to realize when you're the host, you always have to let the guest win. So no matter what, I have to.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. We'll
play it down.
We'll
play that
that
all you want.
Yeah, we'll play that card. Next week it might be you versus Doug. Who knows?
And Sega trivia.
Yes. Sega.
I'll see what
Sega trivia.
No, I'll see what I can do is find Sega and TurboGrafx trivia and intertwine it. Where Doug has to answer the TurboGrafx, Glenn has to answer the Sega stuff.
That'll be a bloodbath.
That's gonna be a bloodbath.
I'm gonna be honest. My thing is I'm more about the hardware than actual characters. Like how many times Sonic had to stop and use the bathroom in the game? I have no idea.
No, I hear you because that's how I felt the other night when they were asking me Apple trivia. It's like I know how to fix them. I know how to work on them. I know what they do. I know how to use the software. I don't pay attention to dates and stuff like that. But it's still fun, to kind of test your mettle. But we also have Douglas
Oh, before-
Smith, Mr. CoolToy.
Okay, well, one more thing. I'm sorry before you cut out. I want to say one more thing.
We're not cutting out. I'm just going down the line. You'll get
I
your
know.
turn.
On the same. Okay, fine. Fine.
No, go ahead now. You got the floor now. Go.
I was going to say that, in addition to the podcast that Dan has, he's got a YouTube channel. I don't think did he plug his channel? He's got a very good YouTube
That's
channel.
a good point. Did you plug your channel, Dan?
Plug
I
away.
don't think I did. No, if you just search for Dan Wood on YouTube, you'll find me. I try and get videos up as regularly as I can. Kind of the stuff we talked about here. I kind of cover modern add-ons for retro systems. That's kind of a big thing that I'm doing on my channel at the moment. There's one I had recently, souping up an Amiga 1200 to like ridiculous levels with an expansion that costs about $1,000 if you were to get everything for it. 24-bit graphics cards and super CPUs and everything, and USB ports and Wi-Fi. So that's kind of a thing I'm on at the moment, kind of pushing these retro systems to limits that we never thought possible.
Ashley in the chat room says Dan never plugs his channel.
That's why
There you
I
go.
wanted to do it, because he's got a great channel. It's worthy to watch. I watch all the time. I saw that episode as well, and I'll probably buy at least 2 of those $1,000 add-ons. They're not available yet, but when they are, I'll grab a couple.
So as I go through the outro introductions, once we go through that, stick around. I don't know how soon Dan has to jump off, but if you want to call in and ask Dan a question or harass him or give Glen the business, you can do so. We'll do that in post show if you guys want to stick around and call in. I'll put the number up. But can I get through the outro here just so I can get everybody to plug their stuff so we can get to the post show? Can I do that? Am I free to do that, Glenn?
I just needed. When you said no more Amiga, I said to make sure Amiga got brought up again at the end. So,
Mr. Douglas Smith, youtube.com/CoolToy. Any new videos that you want people to check out?
Absolutely not. Cancel CoolToy. He costs people money.
Yeah, tell me about it. And I purposely brought that up because this guy right here puts out a YouTube video, and I'll plug it because I know he's not going to do it. He somehow gets this inside scoop with QVC and finds that Arcade 1-Up put out the Miss Pac-Man new countercade and Pac-Man, does a video, and says, oh, and by the way, use this promo code and you get $5 off. So I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm going, $92. Buy. Go back to Doug's post. Dislike. Does it cost me money? No, really. I liked it. I didn't, but I wanted to hit dislike because he cost me money all the time.
Yeah. No. Hey, I saved you $5.
You did save me $5. So thanks, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's an Abraham link.
Go check out that video. He has it up on YouTube. Very, very good video. He somehow gets in the loop, and then others trickle down that loop. But check it out. Also, this guy here, who maybe we'll see where he's trapped next week. He's I actually like this look. I like the Glen in the box. He seems somewhat contained.
I like that.
Yeah, Glen in the box. Seems somewhat contained in this box here. But you guys can check him out, youtube.com/gplanamento. And any new videos from you, or you've been slacking?
I have been absolutely slacking. I've been trying to get stuff out. I think I'm in a bit of a rut, but I do want to make one announcement here. I talked to my partner today about the Kickstarter, about the Star Wars yoke.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things I don't want to say. I'm going to just come out and say it. We're going to be delayed a little bit again because COVID is, I can't say the word, the pandemic has been slowing a lot of stuff down with production. So we were going to do it in July, got pushed back to August. Looks like that might slip a little bit. I'm going to do a video probably this weekend more about it. I'm sorry about it, guys. It's out of our control. It's manufacturing, but we're going to do what we can. I just want to make sure you guys are up to date to know that it's still coming out, but because of manufacturing, we're going to be pushed back a little bit further. I'm really sorry about that. It's bothering me like nobody's business that we're missing our target date, not from us, but just the world at large, and I'm sorry about it.
Because you have control over that.
Mm-hmm.
I do, because it's Glen. Glen's got control of everything. But I do want to give big thanks to you and Doug, because of you guys here, we have this good show here. We're getting a lot of great guests on, and Dan, I love this guy. He's got a great channel like Amiga Bill and everyone else we had on, and I'm just very thankful that Dan was able to come on with us tonight and probably stay 3 more minutes for a couple phone calls. So just very thankful for certain things, and that I'm inside an Amiga, which is I haven't done this since my Genlock days. When I had my Genlock.
So
Those are the days.
let's do this real quick. We're gonna wrap the show up, but for those in post show, I want you to put your favorite Glen moment from. I don't want to say this season because we're transitioning into a new way of doing the show. Where we're not gonna have guests on every week, but we'll get different people from the community maybe to talk about whatever topics we're doing. What's the best Glen that you've seen? Is it the Glen in the box? Was it Glen? What did we call him? Glen Miga, Glen Morpian, Glen Negan. I don't know. There's a bunch of them. Glen Iron Man.
Tony
What's the
Glenn?
best one that Nee Glen? What's the best one that you liked? Put it in the chat room. I personally like the Amiga one that he's in right now. But I also like Nee Glen. I like that one too. So anyways, we'll see you next week for more of the Retro Buzz. And for those of you that are still here, stay tuned for post show. And we'll see you later. Have a great weekend. And if you get a chance, check out Legend Center this upcoming Wednesday. I'll be back. P-Dubs shouldn't have ate that moose pie, but he did, and he got sick. Big dope. I don't know what he was thinking, but we'll see you guys next week.
Firmware update. Your Pixelcade marquee will be able to work natively with the games included on the At Games Legends Ultimate, Steven. That's right. So if you have a Pixelcade marquee, it will work with the At Games Legends Ultimate on July 1st. That is the big holiday July 4th update. But it's going to be able to do a few other things, Steven, which you're going to have to wait until next week, and I'll show you that. But for right now, get hyped.
You set me up on that because that's not what it says here on the notes.
Yeah, it does. It does.
No, it says, Steven, talk about firmware update Bluetooth headset. And I wrote no.
I swear, it's on there. It says talk about the Pixelcade.
It's so hard to find good writers. We need better writers.
Want to qualify to win a Legends Gamer or Legends Ultimate? Participate in the Summer League event, and you may be able to do just that. Current Legends Ultimate owners can participate in the 10-week Summer League event, starting June 5th, 2020, and ending August 9th, 2020. During that time, there'll be a series of weekend leaderboard events for select games each week. This is a battle to the end. Practice up, make your scores count, and top the charts once and for all, and have a beauty of a prize to show for your hard work. Have fun on the leaderboards, and good luck.